The St. Louis Blues fell 7-2 to the Nashville Predators in tonight's contest.
Hey, this is Bryn Chen. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today on Locked On Blues, I'm going to talk to you about the Blues' loss to the Nashville Predators. It was a 7-2 loss. Well, what's next for the Blues? Do they tank? And of course, we need to look ahead. We have a lot to get to on today's episode of Locked On Blues. But first and foremost, make sure to hit that free subscription button down below if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening on audio only, make sure to hit that follow button where you can. Well, it was an ugly 7-2 loss for the Blues in tonight's contest. Steven Stamkos. That's who it comes down to. Steven Stamkos. I mean, 4 goals in this game for Steven Stamkos. Are you kidding me? And I know that we have talked about the Nashville Predators and how they're not as good as a team as we all expected them to be. But man, Steven Stamkos, 4 goals in this game. Insanity. In the first period alone, he had 2 goals. And you know what? I do respect Steven Stamkos, right? I'm not saying that I don't. But man, Steven Stamkos, insane to me. Insane, insane, insane. And here's the other problem that we have. And I know that you're not going to want to hear this. And trust me, out of all people, trust me when I tell you this, because I'm so upset and I'm so angry about this. We need to talk about Jordan Binnington. We need to talk about him. And I know what you're probably saying as you're listening to the show right now. Hale, the defense, listen, I respect you just as I hope you respect me. And I am telling you, Jordan Binnington just doesn't look the same in net as he has in previous seasons. And we don't have to talk about the truth if you don't want to. We could lie to each other and we could make it seem like everything is all fine and dandy. But here's the issue. It is not fine and dandy. It is actually pretty bad. And this team is self-imploding. And do I look at tonight's loss and say, hey, this is all Jordan Binnington's fault? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think that he isn't playing the game that we're used to seeing him play. And I can't help it but just question, will Jordan Binnington even be the starting goalie for Team Canada for the Olympics? And I know that sounds maybe a little bit dramatic, but I mean, again, allowing 6 goals is unacceptable. It's so frustrating, to tell you the truth, because I care so deeply about this team. I am a fan first and foremost, but something just seems off. And we talk about goalies and how it can be such a mental game sometimes. Personally, I think it just got to his head a little bit, but he did not have a good game in net. And Joel Hofer had to go in, and he had 1 goal that went in. But hey, he saved 6. So that's Good. Yay. Look at that, Joel Hofer doing some good on the ice for the Blues tonight as the guys just couldn't get it done. I guess a positive that we can talk about. Hugh McGing got his first NHL goal. Very exciting for him. So congratulations. And then Ryan, not Ryan, he scored on us too. I was like, yeah, it was not a good night. Robbie Fabry got the assist on that and fed him the puck. So it was good to see our boy back in action, wearing a different number, which is a little bit odd, but good to see him again. Yeah, Ryan O'Reilly did score on us too. And so did Philip Forsberg and then Michael Bunting in the final frame. That's how that one goal went in behind Joel Hofer. But man, like, it was so ugly. Robert Thomas did score. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. I guess that's like the other positive that we can look at in tonight's game. Not so much positive. I mean, the Predators, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful right now if you're a Nashville fan listening. I am not trying to sound like I'm coming off a certain way, but the reality is the Nashville Predators are not that great of a team, but yet playing against the Blues, they looked like a Stanley Cup contending team. And again, I don't mean that with any disrespect towards the Predators. I mean that with all disrespect towards the Blues right now, because there is no reason why you played as badly as you did against a Nashville team that hasn't been successful. And this brings up my frustrations and everything that I have talked about with this Blues team, and that this core group of guys that you have right now, it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. And I don't know how many times I can say that. I don't know how many times I can reiterate the frustrations. I don't know how I can say everything that I'm saying without sounding like a broken record, because it doesn't make sense for me. It doesn't make sense at all how this is continuously happening for the Blues. And I will say this. I will be honest with you when I say this. The Blues using their timeout, right? And Jim Montgomery on the broadcast was fuming and mad, and they don't show any fight. They don't do anything to show fight. And I can't blame actually Jim Montgomery for the reasons that the Blues are self-imploding. Call me crazy. I don't. I actually blame the players, not Monty, because again, what is Monty doing? That's so bad. I mean, after the game, I actually listened to the audio that the Blues sent me, and Coach Montgomery did say that Fabry was their best forward tonight, which again, and he continued on to talk about Robbie, saying, I loved his habits and details. He was at the net front screening. He got his assists being at the net front, passing it over to Hugh. He was finishing checks, finishing wall battles, and all those little things that help you find success. And again, I'm not trying in any way to disrespect the rest of the players, but how is it that a guy comes in that hasn't even played an NHL game this season and looks better than most of you? Braden Shen stated, mentally, it's just as simple as far as mindset goes. We just don't do it. And that's every single guy. We have to commit to the little habits of the details to play for one another or not. You keep on getting embarrassed. And yes, Braden, that's what it is. It is embarrassing. It's unacceptable hockey. You know, Shen, he also said, soft in front of our net, soft in front of their net. Give good players time and space to score goals or second chances, leaving Binner hanging out to dry on some. That's how we keep on giving up as many goals as we are right now. But and I appreciate what Braden is saying. I do. And I respect Braden. I do. But how much blame are you going to put on Binnington versus your players? Because it doesn't seem like maybe, call me crazy, I feel like there's some defense going on right now with Binnington. And I understand that it does, come down to your defense. And I get that there's other lines of positioning that you have to put blame on. But let me know if I'm the only one that feels like maybe we're not putting enough of this losing on Jordan Binnington. Let me know. Am I wrong for thinking that? Because while tonight's loss was inevitable due to the fact that this team looked like trash, there were some goals that I thought he could have saved. And again, he is not playing the way that a top goalie in the NHL is supposedly playing. Let me know. Let me know if you blame more of the defense or if you blame Binnington, if you blame the forwards even. I mean, I will agree that Fabry looked like the best forward tonight. And again, when it comes to the forward checking, like we just don't see that from our guys anymore. It's such a simple game, hockey. And for whatever reason, leave it to the Blues to mess that up. So we're going to talk a little bit about, well, should they just tank? Because at this point, realistically, I think that they should. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about my friends over at FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reaching to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as a guy heats up, and so much more. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Call me crazy, call me desperate, call me whatever you want to call me. But I think the best interest for the Blues right now is to tank. And I'm going to tell you why. This is a hockey team that can't figure out how to win games. You lost to the Nashville Predators tonight, 7-2. That should tell you something. And yes, I know I'm going to hear the excuses. Well, they have a bunch of guys that are injured right now and they're not playing. Okay. But they also have players that you would consider to be star players on the team that are healthy, that are playing, that aren't doing a good job. Both of your goalies are healthy. Okay. Your defense, mostly healthy. So my question then to you is, are you blaming the forwards more than you're blaming the defense and the goalies? And if you answer yes, I want you to tell me why, because that doesn't make sense to me. No, the forwards haven't been so hot this season, and I can agree on that. They haven't been. But the only thing I will say is they scored 2 goals tonight, which I know is not a lot of goals. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like you could have kept it a lot closer than a 5-goal difference between you and your opponent. The Nashville Predators putting up 7 goals tonight is embarrassing. And none of them were an empty net goal. So it's even worse. Like, if that last goal was an empty netter, okay, it happens. The fact that it wasn't, embarrassing. And you know what's even more embarrassing? That Binnington has had to be pulled multiple times this season. Like, I'm telling you, there's something not clicking with this team. I don't know if it's chemistry. I don't know what it is. Frustrations are getting the best of them, but something is not clicking. And I don't know how much longer this team can go on like this. I don't know how much longer our fan base can take this without some more transparency. This is a team that made it to the playoffs last year, who were in it till the end of the first round, not the end of the playoffs. And they lost in a heartbreaking manner in a game 7 with 1.7 seconds left on the clock. Well, to force the double OT, which they lost in, okay? You would think that a team that came so close to advancing to the second round would have some sort of motivation to get back there again, that would have some sort of purpose, but they don't play like that. And I don't get it. I always jokingly say, tank for McKenna. Like, obviously I'm going to say that, but I believe, Stenberg's a good option. Like, there's other good players that you could get. But if you don't tank and you don't sell, I just don't get it. What are you getting in return this season? And I'm putting on my GM hat, right? And I'm thinking, okay, what was the point in signing Dylan Dubé to a PTO for the T-Birds? I'm trying to think of things that that GM Doug Armstrong has done. I'm trying to think of what Coach Montgomery can do differently. I'm trying to think of like every single solution or anything at this point. And it just confuses me so much. Like, there's no reason that Tyler Tucker, and I'm not trying to throw a jab at Tyler Tucker, but there's no reason why he was playing as the best defenseman on ice tonight. There's not one. Am I sold on Logan Mailloux? I am not. Like, there's just different things about this team that are very frustrating, and it feels like we're going in circles. It is December 11th. This team has showed me no growth. And I just want to go back to somebody that left me a comment voicing their disappointment in me because I said that I don't see the Blues being a playoff team. And they said, you do a Blues podcast, you should be more positive. This is a bad example. Why? My answer is why. Why is it bad that I am being honest about what is going on with this team and organization right now? Why is it bad that I'm not going to lie to people that take the time to listen to me? There's another Blues show that does stuff daily, and they tell you the facts, right, about things that happened. A little clickbaity, but they tell you. See, that's not me. I'm a fan first and foremost. So when I talk about the Blues, I'm going to be a little bit more passionate than just reiterating the facts that we already know from reading social media and ESPN. I'm going to talk to you about how it impacts me as a fan. And watching tonight's game impacted me because it made me realize if this team doesn't have any life against Nashville, well, we are screwed. This is not a playoff team, and I stood behind that statement a couple of days ago, and I'm standing behind it again. While it was nice that the Blues had a couple of wins over the weekend, this past weekend to Ottawa and Montreal, that doesn't change how I feel, and I said that. I'm happy that they won. I like to see my team winning, but that doesn't change how they've been playing consistently bad hockey. I will never understand those that believe that they're in the right because they feel like, well, you're not a real fan if you don't believe. Believe in what exactly? Believe in what? Believe in the fact that this is a team right now that's unable to find any sort of life Do you want me to believe in that? Because that's something I'll believe in. Sure, that's a factual statement. This team can't find anything positive right now about it. It's so frustrating. So going back to my main point before I go too much on a rant after tonight's incredibly frustrating 7-2 loss to the Nashville Predators, yes, the Blues should tank. All right, we got to look ahead because guess what? Life doesn't end when the Blues lose, even though for me it feels like that. But before I do that, I want to talk to you about my friends over at DripDrop. When I'm hydrated, everything just works better. My focus, energy, mood, even my skin. That's why I've been using DripDrop. It's a doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. DripDrop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands using a science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. I like using DripDrop as part of my daily routine because I find when I am hydrated, everything in my life is just better. I don't feel groggy. I feel motivated. I feel like a brand new me, unlike the Blues. So right now, DripDrop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard and keep your body and mind performing at their best with DripDrop. Well, unfortunately, the Blues do play more hockey as the season. It cannot end soon enough. And that is coming from somebody that's obsessed with hockey, but at the same time appreciates my sanity when it comes to the St. Louis Blues. And I just want to move forward because this season is not it. But unfortunately, that is not the case as tomorrow night they are back home hosting the Chicago Blackhawks. And I know what you're thinking, that should be an easy win. No, actually, I don't think the Blues are going to win. I want them to win. Do I think that? No. Then they continue the homestand as they host the Nashville Predators. Then the Winnipeg Jets on December 17th. They come back to Enterprise. Remember when we were actually in the playoffs and Connor Hellebuck had to be pulled every single time they were in St. Louis, and us lovely fans were chanting, Connor. Yeah, I miss those times too. Feels like just yesterday. But hey, the Jets are a team that suck right now, so not as bad as us, but they're not playing good hockey, which I did predict at the beginning of the season, so I was right on that. After we host the Winnipeg Jets, we host the New York Rangers, and that will be the final game of the homestand. And let me tell you, I could see this team losing every single game of this homestand. It's interesting because there's really not a team that I think we can beat right now. Like, just looking at it on paper, I don't. I know that seems negative, and guess what? It is. But realistically, like, if you play the Nashville Predators again in a few days, what changes? Like, I just don't feel good about this team, and I'm not going to lie to you and say that, hey, I think if they adjust this, that, and that. No, I just think that this is a team that's doomed right now. I'm sorry. And again, this is coming for me in a place of positive. Because I do believe, like, again, Hughes' goal tonight, that was awesome for him. And I was happy for him. I really am. And like, that's a positive. But it's not fair for me to lie to you. It's not. And believe it or not, as bad as we are, and like, again, like, we're pretty bad, we're still only 4 spots away from being a wild card team. Like, that's crazy. So insane. And actually right now in the second wild card spot, it's the Blackhawks, and the first wild card is San Jose. So, yeah, wow, how the tables have turned. I hate it. I hate it. I'll tell you, I hate it. And it's only going to become more painful. It's only going to get worse. It's only going to get more frustrating because the trade deadline while it is in March, I'm telling you, this season, I feel like it's a bit different. I really do. And I feel like if you don't make moves kind of fast, you're going to be left in the dust. And the Blues, they need to be on it. Like, man, we may never win a hockey game again. No, we will. I'm just frustrated. A 7-2 loss, and Steven Stamkos tonight just lighting it up between the pipes, man. And then Ryan O'Reilly. It's so frustrating. Being a Blues fan right now actually calls for like a daily crash out, which I do quite a bit. As I was watching this game, a couple people that were near me were like, "You need to breathe," and I'm like, "Nope. This team is just not good." Philip Broberg, I don't know what he does. I don't know what anybody does on this team, actually. If you have an answer to that, please let me know, because I cannot think of anybody on this team right now that is putting in effort. I'm so frustrated. We look like an AHL team on ice. All right, I will talk to you tomorrow. And like always, because I'm still loyal to my team, even though it hurts me and I'm in pain every single time, let's go Blues.